Who ready? Who ready? Who? Husky one!
Welcome back to the Huskies Pulse podcast, the place where we get real with the rising stars of the football world. My name is Clarence Nelson, and today we are in the den with not only one, but two standout players from the Edmonton Huskies, a powerhouse in the Canadian Junior Football League. This morning we have with us number 31 running back Aaron DeMerchant and number 53 offensive line Evan Bedard. Welcome, fellas.
Hello.
Have you had your coffee this morning?
Yes, I did.
Good. Good. Guys, I want to get started with talking a little bit about the basics of the sport and a little bit where you guys come from. So maybe I'll start with Aaron. Can you tell me how you got involved in football and maybe what led you to the Edmonton Huskies?
Well, so I originally, growing up, I started playing soccer, and I would always follow whatever my brother would play. So my brother, he's 6 years older than me. I saw him start playing football for the Grizzlies, locally. And then, so seeing that, obviously, I automatically wanted to play just because it was what my brother was doing. So I started playing when 5 years old. What did you ask me after that?
Well, I wanted to know how you got to football alone. Like, eventually, some athletes will find their way to a one or two sports after playing a number of ones. So why football?
Well, I grew up playing, like I said, soccer. I was doing martial arts for a long time, MMA, boxing. But then it kind of got to the point in high school where it's like, okay, I got too much on my plate here. I gotta kind of
Focus.
Yeah, I gotta focus on one thing. And then soccer, I wasn't feeling the love from soccer anymore. So I eventually dropped that, and then I just committed to football. That's what I like. I don't know.
Terrific. And that was probably in high school.
Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Austin O'Brien.
Terrific.
Yeah.
And that's where you met this fella.
Yeah. Actually, no, I met him in junior high.
Junior high.
Yeah.
Grade 7.
Yeah.
Great. And by that time, Evan had played for who?
The Edmonton Chargers during that time. And then, I kind of played baseball a lot growing up. So that was really where I kind of came from. Pretty much played baseball until I was in really into high school. Grade 12 was my last year, which is the last year I was really able to play. Kind of didn't really want to leave baseball, but kind of knew that I was more kind of pertained to football. I was bigger. I couldn't really move anymore with baseball, so I kind of just stuck to football. So, and it's kind of really where the love was there. So kind of just stayed there, and then just kept doing it.
Great.
On.
Your dad told me you used to pitch fairly well. How's your shoulder today?
Not good. Wake up with a lot of injuries sometimes.
Well, that's okay. We can work it out. So football was the choice of for your sport going forward now, and you're both going to school and university. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is your opportunity. Like many athletes that want to continue on with this sport while they're going to school, the Edmonton Huskies was your choice. And how was that choice now? How is it? What's it like playing for the Huskies right now?
It's good. It's I don't know. For me, it's been a lot of ups and downs, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's been different because this is only my second year here because I played for the Edmonton Wildcats before that. So kind of seeing both sides of it is really cool. But it's definitely been great to be a part of this group and kind of meet everybody and really kind of grow as a family.
Yeah, we're going to get more involved with the Huskies in a little bit because I want to hear from people like you that are fourth-year veterans in the CJFL. This is your fourth year, right? So you got another year and a bit left, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Who can you share with me, Evan, maybe, who were your football role models growing up and when you stayed in this sport? Any players that you might have modeled or you'd like to be like?
It's really hard because, when you play offensive line and you watch NFL, it's not really who you're looking to because, it's not exciting to watch some of those guys on the TV. But for me, a lot of guys, when I first started watching football, it was Marquise Pouncey, who played center for the Steelers. That was really kind of someone he played with a lot of tenacity and is kind of something that I wanted to do. So it was pretty cool to kind of see guys like that.
For sure. How about you, Aaron? Who stands out? Who's a role model in this sport or any other?
Well, I started watching football a bit late, I guess. And my dad never bought the sports channels, so it wasn't until high school when I started watching the NFL, and I started actually watching certain players. But I'd say for me, it's definitely Christian McCaffrey. That's the guy I look up to. I like Isaiah Pacheco too, but he's not doing too good recently. So,
well, hopefully you can continue your sport too.
Yeah.
Now, football is, I think, unique among other sports. Every sport offers a little bit. I think football is different because it offers unique lessons. And so what kind of lessons do you think football has taught you and that can teach other people, Aaron?
I need to think about that one a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like, I coach right now, so I kind of want to, like, I really kind of instill a lot of stuff that I learned from past coaches. So for me, it's a lot of like the kind of the teamwork and the family aspect of football is really kind of great, like a life lesson for a lot of people. I think it teaches you to kind of be like an individual, but at the same time kind of be a part of that family and rely on each other, and not really like try and be like your own person, do your own thing, because it's never going to work out that way. So for me, it's like a lot of that kind of teamwork, family aspect that football really kind of teaches you.
And just not just the 12 people on the field.
No,
we're talking
it's everybody,
coaches,
yeah.
we're talking support, we're talking the people that will step in when needed.
Yeah.
And that's why we carry, the group that we do. And I was in martial arts for a number of years as well, just like you, Aaron, and I found I played the opposite of you. I had team sports in my whole life, and then I started, jiu-jitsu later in my life. And so how would you compare an individual sport versus a team sport like football?
Oh, that's a good question. Like, I actually, like, I like team sports, but I also love individual sports. I think they both have their pros and cons. Like, I find with, like, I'm just not talking about football, but just in general, team sports, like, you can oftentimes, because maybe, like, the way the organization is structured or how biases, you can get, in a sense, screwed over when you don't deserve that. And I think in, like, solo sports like boxing, martial arts, it's a lot of like, whatever the work you put in, usually you get out. Like, there's no cheating, kind of, unless, yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you guys have been around football a long time, and in this league for a while as well. And I find it really interesting when I watch people, how they prepare for practices, they prepare for games. What are some of the things that you guys do to make things work well before games or practices?
I think for me, before games, a lot of the time it's like you almost kind of you got to get in your own like headspace. Because for me, I very much like will sometimes get in my head and kind of think about myself as like I don't deserve to be here and I shouldn't, like, there's some things like that. So for me, it's a lot of like calming down, listening to some music, go out on the field and stretch a lot, just to kind of be by myself, kind of get away from those self-doubts, and then kind of just be ready to go out and play again.
Aaron, anything from your end?
Yeah, for me, like it all starts like the day before. like the night before, I will just chill. I'll be like, I usually before I go to bed, I'll usually watch like an hour of like film or something like that, or just like highlights or something. And the morning of, if we have a morning game, I'll like in home, I will like wake up, have my I like to be early, so I like to do everything early. So I wake up, have my breakfast, and I'll just like watch highlights of like my favorite players, and just kind of envision myself on the field. And I think that really helps. I don't know.
Yeah, and those routines are really good practice because, although you want to win the game, what you want to do is bring that routine, that confidence to every play. Is there something that, Evan, you've been coaching for a little bit now, and Aaron, you might see younger players come up this year into the league and specifically the Huskies. Is there anything that you would recommend that people avoid when they are preparing either the day before, the day of, or the week before? Some things that you might have seen people do by mistake and go, hey, you know what, you need to think better about that.
I think for me, a lot of it is like the kind of like, I want to say like confidence that a lot of people come in with, because you kind of come from that high school and you're like, oh, I've been the man, I've been a top guy. And then you kind of come here and you got to understand that like there's a lot of guys above you who were those kind of people, and now they're years older than you. So I think, and like before games, there's a lot of those guys who in the first year, I mean, I started in my first year, so I was kind of one of those guys who was like, I was overconfident going into it. And then you kind of get that kind of reality check on that first play and you're like, oh, maybe I kind of got to take a step back and realize that I got to put in the work in as well.
And that's really good that you'll be able to mentor, new players that come into the team and league. Something from your end there?
Or just to like add off that, I think like a lot that can turn a lot of people away from like especially CJFL, because it's really definitely a grind. You asked before about like a trait about football that you can really like take with you.
Yep.
And I'd say, like, for me, the biggest thing it's taught me is, like, perseverance, because, like I was injured my second year, and I went through, like, to get to where I'm at now, like, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but perseverance is definitely a big one, because you're going to find that you come up and you were that guy in high school and things aren't going your way, and they might not go your way for a while, but you know, you got to keep your head down and keep working and just pray, and you everybody has their time, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And those are good things, and those are life lessons too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were referring to the what the things have taught you, and you can share that knowledge. You know, the coaches are going to do the same, but as veterans, people are going to look to you folks as well. And maybe at some point you'll have an opportunity to step in, because you know as well as I do, if you're stepping onto a field with a new team, a new league, sometimes it's hard to ask for those questions. So I look forward to seeing you guys, you know, step forward when you think that somebody needs that assistance. If you guys were not playing football, what would you be doing instead of May Camp this year coming up?
For me, it's definitely coaching. Like these past couple of years, I've kind of like fallen in love with coaching and just being there for a lot of these younger guys. So I think like for me, definitely that's kind of my goal past football. So I think if I wasn't playing football, I probably would have just started my coaching career early, because just that's kind of something that I'm passionate about and love.
Yeah.
If I wasn't playing football, or I would definitely just be playing like another sport. I'd definitely be doing like martial arts. Like, that's me. But
What kind of martial arts exactly?
kickboxing, but mostly MMA.
Yeah.
Like, just in general.
Do you find that specifically helps you out with the position that you're in right now as running back?
Nah, I don't think it really translates whatsoever. I
Good
don't know.
crossover training though.
Yeah, I haven't done it in years, but
Yeah.
a couple years. But I don't know. It's definitely a big love of mine.
How do you guys feel about the growing theory that multi-sport athletes is the way to progress through sports as an amateur athlete, and rather than 10 months of one sport and so taking that break and doing another sport? How do you feel about that, having played other sports when you were growing up?
I think it is like important, because you kind of get stuck in that kind of situation where you're playing one sport, and you see it with a lot of these kids who kind of stay in one sport where they fall out of a love of the game really quickly, because they've been kind of pressured to do it and it's all they know. And you meet a lot of new people. Like, the people that I met playing baseball are completely different than the people I know playing football. Like, the worlds are so different that you're meeting more people and you're not just with the same people a lot of the time. And then, yeah, I think it's just like the biggest thing is burnout, because you kind of just, if you spend too long doing one thing, you just get bored of it and you just kind of lose it.
Even if you love it,
Yeah.
it can become a job.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then once it becomes a job, it becomes something else.
Mhm.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, it's not uncommon knowledge that we are changing things up this year with the Huskies. We have a different head coach who's been on the team for a while, and we have a number of other coaches that have joined us from other parts. You might have seen some of them during the field sessions that you've already been at, and you'll see more of that in May when the camp comes up. How do you think the dynamic has changed from 2024 to what you've seen so far in 25?
Definitely, it's a big
Shift.
It's definitely a big mindset shift. I think we're really gonna come after people this year. I think, like beforehand, we're a top team, yes, but I think now we're really hungry and we want to show. We're tired of like saying that, and we're really gonna go out there and prove that we are.
Have you seen that in the locker room, in the weight room, and on the field sessions, how things are different this year than they were last?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just by the way Klein leads the team in the field sessions, you can tell that he's really, really trying to go after it. And I think it really it brings the players together, and it really riles the team up.
Absolutely. Evan, I'm going to ask you this question. What are you personally focusing on this year versus the other years, or maybe something that you've drawn from in years past?
I think for me, kind of in like years previous, it's been more of like, I want to reach those like individual accolades a lot of the times. Like, I'd love to be an all-star. I'd love to be an all-Canadian. But I think for me, like a lot this year, I kind of want to reach for those like team goals. Like, I really want to win a national championship with these guys. I really want to win a PFC championship with these guys. And I think everyone in that locker room deserves it. So kind of looking past that individual kind of goals and then looking more towards team goals is like a big priority.
It's a good atmosphere, and that's what I'm talking about when I tell people about the sport of football. They just don't understand until they put the helmet on. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I know that putting that helmet on at the beginning of a game sets that mood and sets that tone, And so good to hear. Goals for this season? Anything outstanding for the whole team, or maybe the backs or the linemen specifically?
I think we're gonna get that PFC rushing title again. That's the goal for us as like linemen and as running backs. I think that's always the standard. It should be. And
that's a threat. If you can get that running game going, it opens up the whole world of offense. There's a saying out there that defense wins games, offense scores points, and the best defense is a good offense. I think that pairs really well with each other, and I think the team will do well. What about the offense? They've been talking about the Huskies offense since last year. You think we can keep that same pace?
I believe so. I think we got a great group of guys in the O-line room. When you bring back pretty much 4 starters and you got guys sitting in the kind of waiting to join in, I think that rushing title is very much attainable. And, I think for us as like a O-line group, we want to give up less sacks than we did last year. Maybe on the higher side last year, hoping this year that we're even lower on that. So having a rushing title and giving up less sacks would be really like amazing for us.
Aaron, how does it feel in the background or in the backfield of an offense? You or the backs, the other backs, or the quarterbacks or the receivers? How influential is it when you know that you could trust the linemen that are doing their work?
Super influential. I'll give a little story. I came from the high school we went to, my grade 12 year. I think, how many people did we have that actually played football?
Like 4.
We had like 4 people on our team that actually played football. This is because of COVID, right?
Wow.
So, yeah. And you could just see it on the line. I was getting I was like fighting for my life. And like I had maybe 2 people, like not to hate on the team, but like there was like 2 people who could actually properly block, and so that definitely plays a big part, especially like subconsciously. You're like, okay, I'm gonna get this ball and I'm gonna have to make a bunch of moves here, or I'm gonna get this ball and I'm gonna have a little bit of time to see my lane and make something out of it.
Absolutely, those doors open up when you're acting as a team, and the foundation of most offenses would be the line. They're the first line of defense, first line of attack, and it puts defenses on their heels. If you have a dynamic offense and a dynamic offensive line, the threats can come from anywhere, and I think it's a good point. Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of interesting things that happen in the locker room or otherwise. Who would you nominate if you were to vote today? Who's the funniest person on the team? You're looking at each other.
I mean, subconsciously, I want to say myself. I find myself pretty funny, but if I was like to really choose, it'd probably be one of my good friends, Holden, because like he's not funny in the words that he says, and like he's not a jokester, but kind of just some of the things that he does, you're like, man, this guy cracks you up. And maybe it's because I know him more and I see him more often than a lot of these other guys. Like I'm seeing him outside of football, so maybe I want to say that personally. But there's a lot of funny guys in that locker room, especially guys who have like, they just don't even try to be funny, and they're funny because you just want to laugh at them, and you just want to like, just stuff that they do makes you laugh. So I think there's things like that.
So keeping this PG and knowing that we want to share a little bit, have you seen or experienced any fails on the field or interesting things that happened and it made you roll in laughter or anything like that, and you maybe distracted from took a little moment of time to get back to what you needed to do?
I think last year we saw a lot with like the O-line group. We have guys like who will just kind of eat it in certain situations. JP, who I'm talking about mostly, he'll be running and he'll just like almost like a sniper shot just gets him, which is like really funny sometimes. And then my biggest one that it always cracks me up is like when guys start losing their pants because they're a little bit too big, and then you're like that one will always get me going because it's like you just can't not laugh at it.
Extra tape.
Yeah.
we have like same kind of thing with when we're running the bags or some stuff. When we're doing the bags and hurdles and stuff, sometimes people will just eat it, and it's pretty funny. But
nice.
That's about it.
Now, music is really important for prep sometimes, and even during practice if you're playing music. If there's one person that you would like to avoid being the DJ, you don't like his music, get him out of the room, who's that?
You gotta say that.
No,
you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, you can say yours.
No.
I mean, I'll say a different one than I think that we're thinking of, but for me, I want to say like a guy like Josh Thomas, because he listens to a lot of like the girly music, and the nice music, and sometimes that's not what you really need before a game. So that would be mine, because I don't want to see the guy who we're both thinking of. But
I'm not gonna say my pick, but just out of respect.
Got it. If the team was a cast in a movie, so now you're on the set of a movie, what actor would play you guys that you'd like to play? Choose your actor who was going to play Aaron and the one that's going to play Evan.
For Evan, I'd pick Russell Crowe, specifically like the fat version of him. There's like a fat version of him recently, so that's what I'd pick.
The tough one, you mean?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Exactly. How about Aaron? Who should be the actor?
that little Mexican guy on SNL.
Right.
That one's my pick. I can't even figure out his name, but he does like the Short Kings thing on SNL. That's Aaron.
All right. Who has the best fashion sense on the team? Always reliable fashion sense.
I'd say probably Daniel Yusuf. This guy I always see him making his own stuff, kind of cutting his own pants, making something cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say if Isaac comes back, then it's gonna be Isaac, because he's always putting something on, and on his Instagram you can kind of see the good fits that he's got. So I'd probably say him.
I'm going to introduce this idea too, and you don't have to give names for this one, so we can all be innocent. When I played, there was a gentleman that did not wash his clothing for 2 years, and this is the first time. When you sweat, and there's a lot of salt in your sweat, and it gathers, and I remember him bringing out his uniform after a game for the first practice 2 days later, and it could stand up on the wall against his locker room. Do you guys ever find that kind of stuff where you discover, hey, man, I left a banana in there since last year or something like that? Anybody make that mistake?
Happens to me in my school bag sometimes. I'll leave a banana, but
There's definitely some guys in the locker room who are like that.
yeah.
I won't name names, but there's definitely some.
I don't know, man. The O-line groups can sometimes be
the
stinky.
O-line group specifically.
Well, absolutely. And that's part of the game for sure. Any rookies that we should keep an eye out for? You've seen some rookies come out, some people that are vying for positions. Anybody that stands out that from either a place that you know or that you've never seen before? Any rookies that stand out?
For the running backs, I definitely think Mr. Ty Kohut. I don't know if I said his last name right, but I think he's going to be an absolute stud, especially in like a year or two. And right now, I don't know if they're going to have him returning kicks or whatnot, but I think he's going to be real good.
I'll give a special shout out to Ben Chandra, because I coached him at AOB. The guy's like 6'7". He's a huge receiving threat, so that'd be my pick for a guy to see in a couple of years here.
Wow. And so along that lines, with the rookies that are coming up, who has seen some of the strongest potential since they played last year? Who's a different person this year than they were last?
Yeah.
You probably got somebody in your running back
No,
group.
I don't.
Well,
I'll give one for the O-line specifically. I think a guy like Quincy, who he's made a lot of improvements in his game. I think he came in last year. He was a bigger guy, played at a lower school at Emmy Lazert. And I think for me to see kind of that improvement for a guy that I'm close with, who I care about and I want to see do well, I think just kind of see the improvements that he's made over the kind of off season has been really great to see.
And like for me, actually, I think Senna, he's doing real good. I think like he used to be a year or two ago, he was pretty fat, but he's not fat no more. He's leaned down real good, and he looks real athletic, and it's good to see that the improvements he's making.
he's a machine.
Yeah.
Good. This year, like last year, well, let me step back. In 2024, we tried to change the way home games bring a third player or a third aspect to the games. How influential is it when you see crowds and people cheering for you at home games? What does that do for you?
Well, it definitely riles you up, especially if you got drums going in the background, or you got a good atmosphere can honestly definitely make or break a game. I feel like.
Yeah, and so when it comes to getting ready and maintaining that's great at the beginning, and then the game is not 5 minutes, 15 minutes, it's 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys get to that fourth quarter, and that both teams have been working hard, and it's maybe weather's a factor, the heat or otherwise, what allows you to dig deep versus other players that lets you take that to that level when you've been playing for 2 hours, it's a tight game, both teams are struggling to either maintain their lead or get a lead back. What is it that the coaches can do for you to make that better?
I think that ability to dig deep, especially in the fourth quarter, only comes from like preparation and training. I think you got to implement that in like your lifts, your field sessions. I think otherwise you're not. You might be able to have, you might really be able to dig deep, but it's a matter of preparation meeting timing. So I think like incorporating that in our practices, giving us adversity is really how we build that.
Is being in shape part of that too?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Have you seen other teams who you can see are focused on things other than being good athletes that are struggling in those fourth quarters?
Teammates or teams?
Teams.
I don't think I really see it. I think everyone kind of comes, prepared. I mean, every team is great in this league, so you kind of get that where everybody's prepared to go and they're ready to do it. It kind of just comes down to if you really trust your teammates, if you really trust your group. Because for me, like, to dig deep, it's just like knowing that the guy beside me is giving it his all, and that I can look at him after the game and say, hey, I gave it everything I had, win or lose, that, we tried and we went out there and we put our best effort forward. And I think every team has that, and every team says that they have that kind of camaraderie, but you really do see it when it comes into that fourth quarter there.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard this being said in other sports, and especially with football, that winning is not about the score. It's not necessarily about the time and all that stuff. It's about what's important right now. And so what is important is at this time of year that will show up on the field in September. What's important for people to do right now?
I think what's important is like getting out with the team. I mean, we're doing lifts, twice a week. We're doing the field sessions. And I think the most important part in this time is like getting out there and getting to know the people that you're with, because it's kind of tough to do that during the season. I mean, you see these guys every day, but you're not really kind of bonding and you're not getting to know them on a personal level. So I think really getting out and kind of knowing the guy beside you on a personal level kind of gives that more trust into it, and like that what he's going to give you and you know what he is about.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the most important thing at like this point in this season, like the off season, is getting in and getting out, putting that work in, like in the gym especially, and like trying to find those extra days. Because if you can stack extra days, that's how we overcome like our competition, right? So.
Yeah, and that's the part that you guys can contribute to that. That's always going to be the effort and attitude that will make a big difference. I hear good things about some of the schemes and the different plans for offense this year. Have you been exposed to anything new and different other than revealing all the secrets and trades to the other teams?
No, I won't reveal anything, but we have a new OC, and I really like the way he's doing things. I like his philosophy, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like kind of the new school of offensive football, which is nice because, the old school way of the I-back formations and the kind of some of those stuff is kind of, losing its kind of legs in football. So I think seeing that kind of new style, the more open field kind of stuff is just awesome to be a part of.
Yeah, and that's going to translate to things that are executed well against, some rivals. And now, there's not a lot of teams in the Prairie Conference, but there's enough that there are some traditional rivals. And how do you think these new things are going to stack up against your traditional rivals? What's it going to do for you when you face them?
I think first time round, especially like first game with them, they're not really good. I think we're a whole different team. Well, we definitely are compared to like last year and even before that. So I think it's going to be a bit of a learning process for them.
Yeah, I think when you see those kind of the new offenses, I mean, there's nowhere for them to go and look and find the offense that we're running. Because, I mean, it's not done in the CJFL. It's new to the CJFL. So I think the learning curve that they're going to have to experience going through it is going to like greatly help in our favor. So
we have a committee on the Edmonton Huskies organization that is promoting the team and making sure they understand the good things that are happening during games on and off the field as well. What would you say to fans who have never been to a Huskies game and what they can expect during the season this year? That's going to turn them either into football fans or Husky specifically fans.
I think, during the games there's a lot of fun and entertainment. We've done like the cool halftime shows. So I think on top of the great football that you're going to come and watch, you're going to also see like a great kind of entertainment aspect. Plus, I mean, I know that we sell, beer at the game, which is always fun to go watch with a football game. And, the concession's open. So I think for a lot of those new people who haven't watched football, I think you're kind of getting that, like a group of guys who really love football and go out there and give it their all. So even if you're not watching the football, just kind of seeing that atmosphere and that entertainment of behind the scenes, I think it's just something that's great to be a part of. And then, like I said, you get the nice football on top of it, which is always good.
I think a great game to come watch, like especially like if you're in the Edmonton area, is like when we play the Wildcats. You know, the atmosphere is always really high there. You know, crosstown rivals. The atmosphere is always there. So I think it's a great first game if you really want to come out.
Let's pretend for a moment that you are a football coach or an experienced veteran that's retired. And in Alberta, we're trying to grow this sport. A lot of sports are trying to grow. And what would you say to young people who are thinking about but haven't yet explored football that you heard that made you make that decision? What could you say to a young person that might have them look at your sport?
I think a lot of the young kids don't want to join football because they think it's, the dangerous aspect of it. But I don't think it's dangerous at all. I mean, everything is kind of like there's a lot of new equipment in place to kind of be safe and healthy. And then kind of on that aspect, like you meet brothers for life. I mean, I still, talk to all the old people that I played with in high school. I'm sure that I'm going to know all the people that I play here on the Huskies with for years to come. And, you meet those brothers for life and those guys who you can kind of look to in a time of need, and they're always going to be there for you. And, you don't really get that from a lot of other sports because, like for me, when I played baseball, you're there for 4 months and then you never see those guys again because they go on different ways. They go up a tier, they go down a tier. But football, you see a lot of these guys for a long time. I mean, I'm still playing with guys who I played in high school with here, and they're at other places, so you always see them. And I just think that kind of that family that you make is just amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like the family you make playing football it's not comparable. Like I played soccer, and I got one really good friend that I made since I was 5, right, and till 16 or so, and there's only like one person who I could say like, oh, I look back and that's my friend, and I still talk to him to this day. The other people, I don't know. There's a level of like camaraderie and brotherhood in football that just it can't be like replicated.
Would you agree that regardless of who you are, tall, short, fast, slow, otherwise, that there's a place on the football field and a potential place on the Huskies, and that's what makes football different than other sports?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think even just a personal experience, I'm on the shorter side of an offensive lineman. I mean, I like to say I'm 6 foot, but sometimes I'm under it. But I just think, no matter kind of what build you are, there's always going to be a place for you in football because there's so many different positions and so many different sizes that it doesn't really matter how you look or how you play. They're going to find somewhere for you to be a part of. And plus, you're still going to be a part of that team and that family. Even if you're not in a spot that you think you should be in, you're still a part of it and you're still there. So it's just that's still there.
Let's bring it from the time you first started and walked into the Husky house to now. What was it like the first time you walked into the Husky house? It's been around for, the team's celebrated 70 years last year, and now, is it the same thing, or has it grown on you?
I don't know. I definitely came into the locker room just a bit like timid as a person. Like, it definitely has changed though. Like they painted the bottom or the locker room itself, so it looks way better now. It's a bit more homey. We got nice couches. We got the TV, PlayStation to play with the boys when in between practices. So it's definitely grown on me. But yeah.
I think for me, this is only really my second year, but I remember visiting it in high school, and I think for the first time walking in, it's you kind of see the history of a lot of the things there. They got up in the rooms of guys who went on to play in the CFL. They got old teams. They got banners everywhere. So I think kind of seeing that history and knowing what you're going to be coming to be a part of, and that you're coming to be a part of a rich history. I mean, 70 years is a pretty long time. So, I mean, kind of seeing the past people of that and knowing that the Huskies still remember those people, and then knowing that maybe in 70 years that I'm still going to be remembered is just a great thing to think about. That's
really good because, when I first came there and my son started playing for the organization, even in advance, I got the feeling that it was the home where I came from when I used to play myself in the Bantam leagues and in Edmonton, and it just felt familiar to me. It was interesting, it was new, it was traditional, and I think that's what I'm hearing from the coaches now is that they're bringing back what the Edmonton Huskies was back then during those championship years. And it's good to see and hear and experience. I think the experience for players is super important. there's a focus now as well because the alumni have been around for a very long time, and I think you folks are soon becoming those folks, part of that rich alumni, and I look forward to seeing you there. Let's end off with this. I always like to ask players about what inspires them, and Evan, you have this interesting quote, and I'm going to ask you to comment on it. You said that one of your favorite quotes is, "Effort and attitude can't be judged. It's between you and you." Can you tell me a little bit about where that came from?
So it kind of really came from like my first year on the Edmonton Wildcats with Coach Park there. He kind of gave us that kind of thing, was like, he's not going to judge us on our effort and attitude because it's something that you got to have in your heart, and it's something that you can't teach. So for me, like, especially in my own coaching, I really preach that to the guys about, like, I'm never going to judge how you say your effort and attitude is, but I hope at the end of the day you can kind of look me in my eye and say, hey, like, coach, I gave you everything I had. I gave you my max effort. I had great attitude coming in today. So I think kind of like instilling that in like my own kind of playing time, and knowing that, like, hey, I got to give my effort and attitude, because when I look myself in the mirror after practice or after a game, I got to be able to look at myself and tell me that I gave it everything, and I really tried out there. And I just think it's a great quote to live by, that it's like everything kind of on the outside has to be like given away. It's just you and you in there in this situation. So
yeah, and I like that quote because it's regardless of the results.
Yeah,
these are things that you can control and that you have influence over, and you can build on. You can always get better. Aaron, your quote is, "If you can see it and have the courage to speak it, it will happen," by Conor McGregor. Tell me about that.
I just think, like, visioning and envisioning what you want to do is really an important part of success. I think being able to envision where you want to be and being able to speak it, like I said, like being able to I answered that terribly, sorry.
It's all good. I think what I'm hearing from you is that when it's a part of you, when it becomes a part of what you do, and you can see it, it's in front of you, and you put your mind to it, it's working well. Would that be right?
Yeah, for sure.
Good. And would you agree that when you said I have the courage to speak it, in the locker room, on the field, in the practice area zone, and things of that nature, and this beautiful location in the River Valley of Edmonton, do you guys feel comfortable bringing new ideas and good things to this team that will make it the championship team it could be?
Yeah, for sure. Especially this year, I find that, like, Klein, like, I talked to him quite a bit, and he's more open to hearing what the players think, and he wants to know what the players think, and he wants to, like, in a sense, build off of that. So, I've definitely, this year, I feel way more open to bring up things like that.
Yeah, and I think it's like, it kind of comes down to a lot of the thing of, like, it's it's the players who are a part of this, and kind of having our own ideas and having our own thoughts and processes with a lot of it just helps in the long run. And I think we're in a great place with great coaches who listen and care about our opinions and care about our thoughts. So I think having that kind of trust between everybody is just awesome to have.
Trust is the cornerstone of everything we do in this sport. Whether it be the man you're standing next to, or the man who's giving you or receiving the ball, the man that's kicking the ball. I know we have some special teams improvements and changes and things of that nature. Would you guys agree as well that special teams is sadly underestimated in its importance, and it's 1/3 of the game?
Yeah, I do agree, but
yeah, I think again, I'll bring it back to my coaching with one of my good friends who I coach with. We have this saying between the two of us that, like, the only time special teams matters is if it's bad or if it's really good, because a special teams can only lose you a game if you're really bad at it, or it can help you win games if you're really good at it. Nobody looks at it if it's mediocre. You just kind of hear the good and the bad between it. So I think sometimes you got to kind of bring it back to, like, yeah, it does matter in a lot of the things, but if it's bad, you don't want it to matter.
For sure. And it can swing things almost as much as a touchdown. I think special teams is very important, and if you ever get a chance to play it, I quite enjoyed it at that time. People think that special teams is the start of other things. I think lots of people build careers on it, and special teams is super important especially for this level of football. Gentlemen, any final thoughts that you want people to know about what they're going to see on the field this year, whether they're traveling or whether they're at home?
I think what people kind of just got to look for is they're going to see like a new look Huskies. I think they're kind of come see a different mindset. Done are like the days of the past of like, oh, you're going to win your games and then lose to Regina and Saskatchewan. I think for us to build on it and just be kind of look at it too as like a bigger picture kind of thing, and just say that we are good enough to be in the top. We are there. We put in the work. And I just think for a lot of the fans who have been there in the past, I think you're going to see a great group of guys who are ready to go and a great group of coaches who are going to put us in the right spots to be well.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a very tenacious team that's going to go out there and, try to take everybody's head off. I think that's what the Huskies were, and I think we maybe lost that a bit. I think that's back now.
Tenacious, disciplined, focused, and ready to perform.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time today. I look forward to seeing you on the field. Again, number 53, offensive lineman Evan Bedard, and number 31, running back Aaron Demarchant. And looking forward. Stay healthy, guys. We'll see you on the field.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again, guys.